Recording has started.
Recording started.
So fancy.
Ah,
Yes. I mean, this is
yay.
all shenanigans, so I mean, that's the whole goal.
Hi there, I'm Nicole Wilbur, and welcome to my channel. I am a contemporary, generally YA writer, and I am so excited that I have with me Madeline.
Hi, I'm Madeline James. I am a fantasy writer and world builder, and I have, my channels doing writing, world building, all of that kind of fun stuff.
So we are here because we have a really fun collab today. We are both big plotters. You'll see lots of outlining videos on our channels. But as you heard, we write in very different genres. And so we thought it would be fun to do a little bit of an outlining plotting challenge. We have written a prompt that would be perfect in our genre. So one that would be perfect for like a contemporary romance, or one that would be perfect for more of a fantasy. And we're going to swap these and create a story that works in the opposite genre. So I'm going to be making a fantasy prompt work in contemporary and vice versa.
Yes, it's going to be super fun. So the rules we've sort of set up for ourselves is first that we are going to take the prompt of the other's choice and make it work in our genre. And then we have to come up with our main character, plus at least maybe 2 other side characters or other main characters, maybe a love interest, a little bit of a setting background, depending. Then we're going to outline the status quo, the inciting incident, the break into 2, the midpoint, the all is lost, and the resolution. So our really high level save the cat beats. We're going to, not go too crazy because, again, we're not actually writing these stories, but we're doing it for the fun. And then we have to incorporate a random twist in the outline, and that random twist can be anywhere.
Amazing. All right. So we are going to now go back to the past, I suppose, where we were both trying to figure out what prompts we wanted to create. And then we'll come back here. We have no idea what the prompts are. And we'll come back here in a few minutes and we will share them for the first time. So enjoy.
Okay, so I need to come up with a stereotypical fantasy prompt to turn into a contemporary outline. And so obviously I feel like the most fun here, right, to lean into this would be to do something that is very, not just stereotypical, but very fantasy-esque, right, where it's kind of hard to imagine how it would work in a contemporary, which I think is part of the challenge. My first thought is to go for something very, like, tropey, very romantic-y based, like either, go with something similar to like Fourth Wing, or go with your stereotypical like Shadow Daddy, right? Something like that, something with like a kingdom that has to be overthrown and a Shadow Daddy that you think is evil but then ends up not, and then you have like super secret power that you learn to like, you know what I mean? Right? So I think that's kind of the vibe I'm gonna go with.
Okay, so I have to figure out what prompt to give Madeline. And it has to be something that you don't normally see in fantasy, but that you would see in like contemporary, whether that's like a contemporary thriller or a contemporary romance. I have a feeling she's gonna give me something like The Chosen One, because like, how do you do The Chosen One in contemporary? Or like a prophecy, but it's not, So I feel like, what haven't you seen in fantasy that is like very prevalent in contemporary? And the first thing that came to my mind was like fake dating. Like, I don't think I've seen fake dating in fantasy. I have to like tie it to something though. Something in the real world, and like the character has to be, I don't know, like a corporate type. I think I need to go Google some like trends, like major tropes in contemporary, and I will get back to you, but fake dating is the one that's on my mind right now. Okay, I'm trying to think like what feels very like modern and today. What are the romances that I've read recently that are contemporary that are good? And what came to me was like movie star, celebrity, or influencer or something. I don't want to be as specific as influencer, but like celebrity. Celebrity is a good one. So I want a celebrity fake dating is the center of this prompt, I believe.
Okay, so prompt. So things that I want. So I think there needs to be, I think we want to like overthrow someone, right? So I think we need to have some sort of like evil ruling force to be overthrown. I think we need a main character, because one of the key bits of romantasy that you common see is the empowerment of women, right? So I think you want to have a main character at the start as like downtrodden, maybe abused or something, basically powerless, right? And then that turns into a story of empowerment where she discovers... So obviously normally it's magic, right? She discovers she has the super powerful magic. But for a contemporary, we can change that word to like where she discovers secret skills / abilities that she's had to hide. Maybe, right? That's very romantic, right? She's hidden this her whole life and then they become discovered or something, right?
Okay, so we're fake dating, but we have 2 issues. Number 1 is who is the person the celebrity is fake dating? And B, why are they fake dating? And here's the thing, I've been sitting with this and thinking about it for a while, and I don't want to do a pure contemporary story like rom-com. I think it would be better if we did more of a like romantic suspense kind of vibe. I do write romance. I'm more in suspense romance anyways, like more of like an action adventure with romance events. So this will be more my wheelhouse if we don't try to be like pure Hallmark movie. So I'm thinking like the classic is like someone goes to a small town, right? Like celebrity gets trapped in small town. But I don't love the small town aspect of that. Should anybody watch The Sweet Life on Deck? I don't know why this came to me. Probably because I was organizing plans the other day and someone called me a cruise director. But like, what if we have a celebrity who ends up on the cruise, but like they have to be stuck on a cruise. So like they have to fake date a cruise director. Does that make sense? Would a cruise director... Well, no, they can't date because that could be bad for their professionals, and they have to be like fake engaged. They have to be fake engaged to a cruise director in order to, I don't know. I don't want her to be like them. I don't know. I want to be gender neutral so like you can decide who is what. The celebrity gets on the ship. I'm the cruise director. Why am I on the ship? I get stuck on the ship. That's okay. We can get stuck on the ship. And we have to fake engagement to get off. Does this make sense? Okay, 1 second. I'm going to brainstorm.
So then we can also have a love interest who is morally gray, considered to be a villain by many. We could go with your typical tall, dark, and handsome, right? And he has to be in like a position of power, right? So we'll give him that. So that's obviously like your internal prompt or your internal like hook for her needing to find empowerment and having this secret thing and then meeting this like love interest kind of vibe, right? But then what do we make the actual external plot? I mean, the external plot could just be maybe has to be overthrown so the main character can regain her destiny. Right? Like normally maybe like it's her throne really or something like that. And so she needs to overthrow this ruler to get her throne back. Would be the fantasy version, right? And maybe like initially she's going to maybe marry the son, like the prince, the heir. Originally might marry the seemingly charismatic heir to achieve this, but then realizes more of a villain. I think this is pretty good. So then the last thing I think that we need to add is something about dragons, but obviously not real dragons because it's a contemporary. So we could say she gets a bond or makes a bond with a powerful reptilian ally. And I don't know how you'd accomplish this in a contemporary, right? Maybe we could go with flying ally, could be interesting. And maybe it's just like she has like a sidekick parrot or something. I don't know. That's not my problem.
So typically in these kinds of stories, you have your celebrity like remembering why other things in life are important and like remembering their family and like discovering that they can be grounded again or whatever, and that the other person helps them see that. So I kind of want to have that vibe of like a feeling of going back to your roots but not going back to your roots. And I also obviously want to have a little bit of element of suspense. So I'm thinking a cruise is a cool place because like it's a constrained environment. And so basically like if you're trying to do something on that boat, but you're not supposed to be there and someone's there watching you, like why would this celebrity who's not supposed to be on this cruise, who hadn't been like announced to be there, who blah, 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 why would she be on the boat? To fake engage. That's what they would be telling people. But really she's there to, if we're thinking of going back to roots, maybe her parents have a connection to this boat. Maybe her parents used to like own the boat or own the cruise company or like met on this ship or something and they had secrets. And does this sound completely far-fetched? I don't know. I bet she can make it work. She's going to get on the boat. She needs a reason to get on the boat. She's getting on the boat because of her parents. She gets to stay on the boat. They have to do a fake engagement. Okay, that's enough to be moving on with. And then I have to think of the twist.
So now I think I need to reword this to sound more like the blurb that you'd find on a book, right? And obviously it'll give some hints of it and she'll have to change it to fit what the actual things are in the outline, because this is all going to be like, I'm going to replace the fantasy words with like vague general words, but it'll be really clear what I mean from a fantasy sense, but then she'll have to take that and make it contemporary. I think this is going to work. I have no idea what she's going to do. But yeah, I'm going to write this up so that it makes sense, and then we'll see what she thinks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Madeline, are you ready for your prompt?
No, but let's do it anyway.
Okay. Here we go. A Nepo baby celebrity. A no-nonsense cruise director who'd rather be in a chem lab. When the celebrity boards the ship to investigate her parents' secrets and catches the attention of the mob boss on board, they must fake an engagement in order to save their jobs and their lives.
Oh my gosh, that's fantastic.
And your
the second you said Nepo baby, I was like, yes.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
And your random twist is a CPR certification course.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Okay.
Or it doesn't have to be a long course, you know.
That's true. That's fair.
I was really trying to think of like what is like contemporary that would be kind of tricky but like maybe fun to make fantasy, you know?
Yes, I think so, because there's a lot of like, especially once you get into anything with a romance plotline, there's a lot of like universal core pieces to romance in general and anything with that. So like I feel like that part is easy to transfer. It's all the like contextual shenanigans that are weird.
It's the contextual shenanigans.
Yes, I'm excited. Oh. Okay, are you ready to hear the one I wrote for you?
Yes, I am.
Okay. And I aimed for like, I went with a romantasy direction and I tried to aim for the most like trope heavy thing possible.
Yeah.
And in the prompt I have like bolded and replaced the words that like I imagine will be different things for you. So like some of those words are vague, but it's similar, okay?
Okay.
Okay, so Our heroine has lost her birthright, her power, and her dignity, and she has no control over her life. The person or entity that stole her birthright in the first place offers her a chance to regain some scrap of the life she should be living. This requires marrying their charismatic and charming heir. Unfortunately, a handsome, powerful, villainous Shadow Daddy seems to be getting in her way. As she fights to regain her destiny, the heroine has to decide if her betrothed or if the villainous and handsome Shadow Daddy will be her best ally for getting what she wants. And in the process, her dangerous, hidden ability / skill threatens to be revealed.
I love that.
So obviously the fantasy prompt version is like she's the princess that's had her throne taken away, and
oh my god, right. I have to make
the
this
person
contemporary.
Yes. That's why I replaced the words in the prompt so that you could sort of like think about it differently a little
Yes.
bit more easily,
Yeah.
but that's the idea. That's the trope.
Perfect.
And then the twist
Yeah.
is that the heroine has to befriend a powerful flying ally.
Oh, I like that. Oh my god. Wait, hold on. What is a Shadow Daddy?
What? You don't know what a Shadow Daddy is? Okay, so a Shadow Daddy that's like your like most stereotypical romantasy love interest.
Okay.
So your Shadow Daddy typically, not always, but like has some sort of dark, dangerous, like death magic or shadow magic or something that you would typically equate with a villain.
Okay.
They're normally morally gray, and they normally come across as a villain at first. And they're like, oh, there's this evil, horrible villain, but for some reason they're helping me and I don't know why. Angst, tension, and then and then it becomes discovered usually that they have like some other reason for why they're doing it, and then they end up being the main love interest, but it's normally like the secondary love interest.
Okay. So a guy with basically the
you're
guy with the wings in A Court of Thorn and Roses.
Yes. Literally, yes. That. It is
Yes.
him. That is your like most quintessential Shadow Daddy. And that's like such a big thing in romantasy right now. Like it's everywhere. Like
Okay.
you start reading a book and you're like, here's our love interest, but there's this other guy that's literally a murderous psychopath and he's gonna destroy the whole world. You know immediately, nope, that's our guy.
I love it. I'm so excited.
Yes.
This is awesome. All right, so I guess now we go off. We write our outlines, we figure out our characters, and we'll come back and see you in a couple days.
Yes, wonderful. See you then.
Whew. Okay, so I just got off the call with Madeline, and I have my prompt, and I am nervous. I was expecting like a chosen one, maybe narrative, and I'm like, oh god. So I have a heroine who's lost her birthright, power, and dignity. And basically she's going to end up in a love triangle where one is an heir successor and one is a Shadow Daddy, which I have to Google because I think I know what it is, but I'm like, that's a hilarious word. And then she has to like fight and has some sort of ability skill. Also, the powerful flying ally. How do you make the contemporary? Like, if there's a helicopter? Wait, I kind of like that. My initial thought was like a dragonfly. Like, what? But what if she had like a powerful flying ally, like a helicopter? Like her best friend is a helicopter pilot or something. Okay, I kind of like that. All right, so first things first, I have to figure out the setup. Who is this girl? What has she lost? And then why did this person entity that stole her birthright, like what is that person entity that stole the birthright? Then we have to come up with like who the love triangle characters are. So I'm gonna sit and brainstorm that first and I will check back.
Okay, so I just got off and I am looking at this prompt again, and this is gonna be ridiculous. Like a nepo baby celebrity, right? So someone who's like famous. I feel like that's easy enough to do, right? Some sort of heiress of some form, right? A no-nonsense cruise director. I either need to go like military or merchant or pirate, maybe, who'd rather be in a chem lab. That's gonna have to be some sort of like alchemy, maybe. When the celebrity boards the ship to investigate her parents' secrets and catches the attention of the mob boss on board, they must fake an engagement in order to save their jobs and their lives. Which is crazy. Yeah, okay, so the cruise director and the celebrity, so like the heiress and the either like pirate or the merchant or someone, catches the attention of the mob boss, which is like super secret villain, right? Fake an engagement in order to save the job. But like, why would they have to fake an engagement? I guess that's what I have to figure out, right? Why are they pretending to be married? Why, or engaged? Oh my gosh, I have so many questions. I have so many thoughts on this. Like, it's so interesting though, right? Like, I need to figure out how, like, what the fantasy elements are going to be too, right? Like, obviously there's like the tropes of it being more of a historical time, but it needs to be fantasy. There needs to be magic. Like, maybe it's like a flying ship or something, right? Some sort of like vacation liner thoughts. Like, it's giving me Titanic vibes, right? Like, flying Titanic. This is so much fun. Okay, hold on. Let me download this real quick. Hold on.
This is hard. Oh my god. Okay. I'm like trying to figure out, and I'm just brainstorming at this point, what world, kind of like contemporary world we should be in, right? So she had a birthright. Someone stole it. She has to marry their charismatic and charming heir successor. Right. So I Googled the word birthright. I was like, what kinds of things do people consider their birthrights in contemporary? Because generally it would be like the throne. You know what I mean? So citizenship rights, your country, inheritance rights, the right to inherit property or possessions from other family members, purpose, rest, the idea that rest is a fundamental need, freedom of thought, spiritual heritage, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay. Not getting too much from that. There's something in the inheritance, like the inheritance games, right? That's all basically the inheritance games from like Grayson's point of view could do this. But then we have this shadow character that, okay, I know the term is Shadow Daddy. I have always been so interested in writing a bi love triangle. I think that would be hilarious and so fun and so interesting. And so it's not gonna be like a real Shadow Daddy. I'm making that character a woman, and then the heir will be a guy, I think. So that's the one thing. As soon as she said it, I was like, I'm changing it. I'm switching up the gender. That'll make it interesting. Oh God, and the powerful flowing. What did I say? Helicopter. I have lists of things. Okay. Big corporation, store, fashion house, kingdom, mayor position, politics, war, newspaper, nonprofit, university, church, mobs, drug cartels, FBI. I'm like, what could she have that she would lose? We're stuck there. We're gonna keep going there. I have to figure that part out first.
Okay, so my initial reaction here is that this is going to be really weird, and there's no obvious intro place for the magic other than maybe the chem lab, right? Like, I feel like that could be an intro to a magic system, but otherwise this is going to be really, really interesting and weird, and it definitely does not fit the normal vibes of like a fantasy. Like, you have fake engagement in them, and like, I guess there is a bad guy, which, you know, you see in a lot of fantasy, like a direct, like, actual villain character. But all of the roles of these people is going to change. I have to pull in the magic. I have to figure out, like, how the sort of scenario would even work. I have to figure out, yeah, all of this stuff. This is going to be weird. This is going to be fun. This is going to be ridiculous. And that's going to be what makes it awesome.
For the past, like, literally an hour, researching, brainstorming, I have all these notes. I was literally looking up, like, everything from what kinds of things could you inherit to different kinds of jobs, like, what do I have written down here, just to give you a sampling? I have poker game, beach house, theorem, nuclear energy, uncertainty principle, park ranger, photographer, adult toy tester, bounty hunter, amusement park, rental girlfriend, penetration tester, that's a legal bank robber. So I was just like looking through things, performer, theater, spies, thieves. This is like really wide open. But I think I finally came up with a concept.
So I figured the first thing that we can do is just kind of isolate the things that are going to have to change. Nepo baby celebrity, obviously we're going to need to fantasy that up. Cruise director, we'll have to swap that out. Chem lab, that's going to have to change. When this celebrity boards the ship to investigate her parents' secrets and catches the attention of the mob boss on board, mob boss will have to change. They fake an engagement in order to save their jobs and their lives. So I need to figure out how the jobs part will come into it. And then the twist is a CPR certification course, which, like, what do you even do with that? I don't know. But okay. So Nepo baby celebrity is obviously some, like, rich heiress, probably easily recognized, used to being in the spotlight, probably, like, waited on hand and foot. Okay, so then cruise director, I feel like there's a few directions we could go with this. I feel like we could go with the cruise director being, like, you know, like something more literal where they take, like, I don't know, they're in charge of experiences on a ship. It could be a flying ship, a magical ship, something like that. So, like, yeah, we could go for something where it's sort of like Titanic-esque, where maybe they're responsible for, like, taking care of rich passengers, right? Like, that could sort of fit it. We could have something that's, like, maybe it could be, like, a pirate ship. They direct cruises and locations, and, like, maybe it's something shady, right? Where, like, for some magical reason you need to go through a certain path or something, like, maybe there's, like, ley lines or something. So, like, pirate ship with ley line cruise side hustle, right? We could go with something like that. We could go something with, like, flying magical ship cruise director and go more literal in that sense. That could all be an option. And then in terms of the chem lab, I feel like chem lab has to mean, like, alchemy or something along the lines of, like, a witch or potion making, something like that.
So, I guess I will fill in the blanks for the prompt for you for now. Or no, I won't. So basically the idea here is the main character, she is a wedding planner. And she just threw a very high profile wedding that was a complete disaster. Like, massive lawsuit. She went bankrupt. It was all over the news. Huge shame. Someone swung in and took over her business. Like, she was bought out by a company. Like a very professional, like, high end. Maybe they were kind of like old money who now run wedding things. And the woman who owns that company, her son is a little bit of a charming, like, maybe a little bit of a charming bad boy. He's a little, like, she would like him to be more kind of under control almost. He's a bit of a disaster and she wants him to, like, settle down. It's about time. And so at this point, for our main character, the only wedding anyone in their right mind would allow her to plan is her own. So she has to marry the guy's son, and then she'll be allowed to plan the wedding. And if she can plan it really, really well and, like, fully redeem herself, then she might be able to get her business back and be able to continue with her passion. The Shadow Daddy is going to be the journalist that is brought in to, like, cover this wedding, who has no interest in being there and is like, I don't want to cover weddings, and also this wedding is dumb. And yeah, they are very much getting in her way. So I'm going to go make some names and start my outline.
So then obviously the secrets and catching the attention of the mob boss, like, I feel like that's going to be the first two things that are going to change things. Like, something's going to make our celebrity get on this ship, right? And that's going to be part of it. That's probably going to be our call to action. Is going to be whatever makes her get on the ship, right? And so that's probably some sort of discovery about the secrets, right? About parents' secrets. Something that pushes that over the edge to then she's like, okay, I have to figure this out. And so she gets on board the cruise ship. And it doesn't say anything about how that ties back in the prompt. Like, is she on the cruise ship to go somewhere to discover it? Is the answers on this cruise ship? Is this going to be like Frozen-esque where like they got on this cruise ship at some point, but what happened? What's the secret on board the cruise ship, right? That could be really interesting. Like Frozen's parents, they were on this cruise and something happened that's relevant, right? So then that could put her directly in the line of like interacting with our cruise director, maybe? I'm not really sure. Something like that. And then obviously the big thing that's going to happen is catching the attention of the mob boss, which I feel like would be our first pinch point, maybe? First pinch point would be catch attention of the mob boss. Right? So then the goal is still to figure out what the problem is with the parents. And maybe something about that is going to tie into like, also has some inner journey that ties into a way the cruise director can help her. Because, right, we have a romance. And so they have to be obligated in some way to look into this. Like something about the secrets, I feel like, or something about their parents' secrets has to tie into the cruise director too. So that the cruise director has to like deal with it, you know? And then I feel like the mob boss has to be like some villain related to the parents, or it could even be like the parents' secret, like the people they work with or something, you know? So that would be interesting. And then their lives would be at risk. Maybe because the mob boss recognizes her and doesn't know why she's there. Obviously, this gives me no hint at all of what the midpoint needs to look like, what basically anything in the second half looks like other than our twist, which I feel like our twist is going to happen at the, it can either be like the high tower surprise, right? Where like they have their plan, they're executing it, and then this thing happens, right? Or it could be like a twist early on that gives them like some sort of way to do things, right? But like a CPR certification course, what? Like, what is that even gonna be? Like, how does that even, like, make sense? Like, the only things that pop into my head are, like, super ridiculous things. Like I'm imagining some sort of, like, kumbaya retreat where they have to do, like, team building exercises. And they're, like, proving that they love each other. And they're like, oh my gosh, a CPR certification course, let's go. You can totally, like, kill me and then bring me back to life. Hearts, you know, like, I don't know, but I feel like the rest of this does not vibe with that sort of like a tongue-in-cheek, silly, like rom-com feel, right? I want this to feel fantasy, like that's the whole point of this. So I have no idea what I'm gonna do with that. I think I need to flesh out a lot of the rest of this before I can figure out what on earth to do with a CPR certification course. I don't know. I have no idea.
Okay, so I figured it out. The big wedding is like, they're basically like the Rockefellers. In my book, they're the Bennetts. But it's Regan and Clive Bennett, and Regan is the one who gets married at the end, or in the beginning, and then Clive is the one that Jane Greco ends up being betrothed to. And I'm like at the break into two-bit, and I know obviously a bunch of stuff has to happen. Regan is going to go to Jane with the proposal in terms of like, marry my brother, please. And I have to figure out like why she wants her brother to get married so bad, but that's kind of a later issue. And Jane goes through a bunch of stuff. She meets our shadow mommy. Oh God. She meets Mackenzie, Mac. He'll meet her in there, and then we get to our break into two. And I'm debating whether the break into two should be the proposal of basically Jane giving Clive instructions on how he should propose to her and them pulling it off, or if it should be or if that should come later, as in like act 2, you know? Because I think it should be her. I like the idea of the proposal being the break into 2, but I'm not sure how to get Mac in there. And so like Mac is going to be the journalist who is covering the wedding, and she's like very bikery motorcycle. I have tattooed motorcycle riding journalist who is hot is my description of Mackenzie. And she like recently got kicked off of the kind of story beat that she wants to be on. She's also kind of like in the doghouse of her career, and is used to covering like, I don't know, drug cartels and biker gangs and like crime and stuff like that. And now, because she screwed up so much, she is sent to cover this wedding, and she's very unhappy about it. So I don't know when to introduce her. If it's maybe like I introduce her at the break into 2, because Jane is like, okay, I'll do it. I'll marry you if I can plan the wedding. And it gets covered by media. And then Mackenzie is introduced as, okay, here's the person who's going to cover the wedding. And she's going to have to be with you this whole time. I think that makes sense as the break into 2. And then the proposal comes later, like the first thing in act 2, because that gives you something fun to write in act 2. All right, we got it. Okay, here we go. The rest of the beats. Wait, but that doesn't make sense. If the journalist knows about the wedding before there's even a proposal. Crap. But that's so much to pack into the beginning. The break into 2 could just be the agreement. But no, I want it to be clear that like Mac is going to be there. You know what? It'll work. I'll just make it work.
Okay, so I'm working through this, and I'm so close. I have, like, the climax and the all is lost moment and the resolution figured out, but I still can't figure out how to incorporate this CPR certification course. Because CPR certification could be something to do with magic, right? Like a way to magically save someone's life. And I don't know. Maybe there's something about a magical bond to do it that forces them to get even closer or something. I don't know. Let me work with something like that. Okay, I think I figured it out. And I think it actually ties in the twist into how the climax is going to work at the end. And I think it works. It's a little weird. It's a little all over the place, but I'm excited to see what Monet thinks of it. Hopefully it satisfies all the requirements.
So last thing is this twist. The flying ally. And I think I'm going to go with my original idea of the helicopter driver. She's a high class, like high status wedding planner. A lot of people will do like entrances, like crazy entrances, right? Like, and one could be a helicopter. You could also have a helicopter, like, I don't know, throw flower. That probably wouldn't work. But you could definitely have someone arrive on a helicopter or leave on a helicopter for a wedding. Maybe that's like one of her specialties. And so I think that's who the ally is going to be. And then they'll become instrumental at a certain part of the plot. Okay, the last thing I have to figure out is this special skills ability thing that's like dangerous, that is threatened to be uncovered. No idea what I'm doing with that. This is going to be a tough one. Okay.
Yes, I'm so excited to see what you did with this.
So we have Jane Greco. She is the top wedding planner in Nashville. Her slogan is "Your Big Fat Greco Wedding." She has been really on the up recently. She's like very into her Instagram and like appearances and such, and she's really trying to like get a higher class of clientele. Like it's very important to her to be seen as this like amazing wedding planner to the stars, kind of.
Right.
And it might be a prologue, it might be like the first chapter. She's throwing her most high profile wedding yet. It's a Bennett daughter marrying a star athlete in a live filmed wedding. And the Bennetts are like, I should have thought of a different name, but they're like the Rockefellers, basically. It's kind of like a Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce. Is that his name? Casey,
I wouldn't know.
Casey, Kelsey, something. Whatever it is, like that's how high
Yeah.
profile they are. They're
Okay.
Rockefellers, so the
Mhm.
bride is like this Rockefeller. But then everything goes wrong. So it's raining and there's no backup tent, and so they have to have black umbrellas all around like a funeral. The mussels are like raw, and so people start throwing up. The cake is salty. The DJ plays a song by a canceled artist, and then to top it all off, an ex-girlfriend gets through security, causes a huge scene. She's fired on
Oh,
live
no.
TV and threatened with a lawsuit.
Oh, no. Okay.
That is our setup.
Mhm. I
um,
love it. I love it.
In the inciting incident, Jane is at home contemplating her failed business with an inbox full of rejection, hate, and inquiries from some bothersome journalists wanting her side of the story. Really, it was like, she went viral. Everything, her carefully constructed business is gone. Like all of her brides canceled their weddings, demanded their deposits back. Whole thing. Terrible.
Right. Mhm.
So she's at home, very upset, when Reagan Bennett, the bride whose wedding was foiled, she arrives with an offer. Her brother, Clive Bennett, needs to get married. He's been goofing off, driving their parents crazy. He's like, really, he's unfocused. He's a distraction. She can't get a hold on him, and he can't seem to pin a girl down. And so she's like, if you marry him and stay married for at least 3 years, I'll call off the lawsuit.
Okay.
And Jane's like, okay, I mean, the lawsuit is a lot of money. So this seems ridiculous, but I'm going to go to a meeting. And so she's
Mhm.
talked into going to dinner with him, and she finds him charismatic, charming, and amused by the whole situation. He's like, ha ha ha, you want me to get married? Oh, like funny. Like, I'll do it just for like the shenanigans, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
like the whole idea is so crazy, and she's not this bad. So she's like, no, I'm not doing it, Reagan. Goodbye. And so she goes and drowns her sorrows at the hotel bar.
Right.
And this is when she meets Mac, the person who's next to her. I actually I thought it would be fun to kind of have like a bi love triangle. So it's
Ooh.
Mackenzie, Mac, this is Mackenzie. And so a tattooed motorcycle riding journalist, that's your shadow daddy, who's now like a mom
Yes.
or something, I guess, who is hot. And so they're talking, they're drinking. Jane's upset. Mac is great. They hook up, they get a room, whatever. And the next morning, Mac recognizes her and is like, listen, don't kid yourself. No one will hire you after this. It's too big a screw up. I don't even know why you're trying. So Jane realizes that she's right. The only high profile wedding she'll be allowed to plan now is her own. And so that is the break
Ah,
into two. She realizes that if she marries
yes.
Clive, she can pull off the wedding of all weddings, totally redeem herself, get her business back, drop the lawsuit, all that. So it's kind of like a win-win-win. So in our break into
Yeah.
two, she goes to the Bennett mansion to sign the papers. There's like a contract and an NDA kind of. She's going to marry Clive, but obviously she can't say that it's like for lawsuit purposes. It has to be true love.
Mhm.
And they go outside to the deck, and Reagan has hired a journalist who will be covering the engagement and the wedding for that kind of publicity standpoint. And of course, it's Mackenzie. And this
Oh,
is a problem because she just slept with Mackenzie and kind of told her all her secrets. So Mackenzie, who is the journalist, they have to like sell on this, that it's a real relationship, that they have to convince her the wedding's great, blah, blah, blah. She already suspects it's not real. And also, now she's supposed to be marrying this guy, and this girl she's really attracted to is going to be right there beside her the whole entire time.
oh my gosh.
So we
The
have a problem.
drama.
Dramatic.
Mhm.
um So then throughout like act 2, we broke in. So now they're like orchestrating a massive proposal. That's like the first big media event where Clive proposes to her. There's an engagement party. At the engagement party, Jane and Clive have a moment where like it feels real a little bit. And she's like, "Oh, maybe I like kind of do like you." And then they send their invites. There's no going back now.
Mhm.
At the midpoint, Mackenzie comes to her and says, I'm actually trying to investigate what went wrong in Reagan Bennett's wedding because I
Ooh.
don't think it was your fault. I think there was some shady stuff going on. I think you were kind of sabotaged. And if I can prove it, you won't have to go through with this marriage. And at that point, Mackenzie and Jane kiss again. And so now we have
Mhm.
a love triangle. Throughout the
Yes.
second half of the second act, we have Jane forming relationships, growing closer with both of them, both Clive and Mackenzie. And she's working a little bit with Mackenzie to be like, okay, there's something weird going on here, something wrong. So she's using a dinner at Clive's family's house to investigate and to, get closer to Reagan and figure out what's going on and kind of sending information back to Mackenzie. Oh, thing I forgot to mention about Mackenzie is she's a journalist, but she's used to covering like crime and like drug smuggling rings and stuff. But something went bad and now she's stuck doing like this wedding society stuff and she hates it. So she also
Fluff
wants to
pieces.
like redeem herself, but she wants to redeem herself not with like the great wedding, which is what Jane wants. She wants to redeem herself with like, I've uncovered this crazy conspiracy crime thing. And yeah, so competing objectives. Okay. Wedding dress, she goes and gets a wedding dress and Jane has a moment where she's like, I'm really like selling this like special moment of my life for money. And she just starts thinking, can love exist with an NDA? Who knows? You know what I mean? And also as she's doing this, she's getting some clues. I don't know exactly what the clues are, but she's getting some clues that like this shady business dealing thing that might have been at the wedding, like there's some clues that that's pretty justified. And she starts to suspect like maybe Clive was involved. So that's no good. Then there's the rehearsal dinner and we're approaching All Is Lost. At the rehearsal dinner, Jane kind of goes off and she and Mackenzie kiss and Regan catches them. She is like, and Reagan is super upset. She insists Mackenzie leave. It turns out she has like blackmail material on her for, related to the journalistic issues. And yeah. And so Mackenzie has to go. She like can't ever talk to Jane again because otherwise all this will happen. And the wedding is tomorrow and Reagan's like, you're getting married and then I'm shipping you off to an island where you're going to live like on your own sequester so you don't cause us any more problems, because she knows this investigation's been going on and she's like, you know what, we're just gonna like shift you off to the side. And so now she's not getting anybody. She's not getting Clive, she's not getting Mackenzie, she's getting married and she's gonna be basically like trapped. This is not completely plausible. There's some plausibility issues, but that's okay. She's walking down the aisle knowing her life is about to be over. She's at like the front of the hall where they're, do the vows or whatever. And as she like Ted gets Clive's hands, she notices something about his cufflinks. And she realizes that they were the same, have like the same initials on them as the jealous girlfriend who like interrupted the Regan wedding originally. And she realizes, based on all the other clues, that the ex-girlfriend was a distraction for this like smuggling thing. It brings all the other clues together. She was sabotaged. She can now prove it. So she kind of like fakes a feigning spell, goes off to the room and like films kind of and talks to Clive. And Clive is like, oh no, this is terrible, because like he wasn't involved. And so they film it together, exposing what happened. They post it to social media. And then she has a flying ally. Because she is a wedding planner, her best friend is a helicopter pilot. And helicopter pilot, because wedding entrances, people come in helicopters. And so she gets in a helicopter from her best friend, and then she flies to Mackenzie and is like, I'm in love with you. And happily ever after.
Oh my gosh, that's so fun. I love how you turned all those things into like wedding planning. Like that's so creative. I love it.
Yeah, that one took a minute. But I was like, it's just the inheritance games from the boys' perspective if I don't do something. So it was really fun.
So first, a little bit of background is that we are in a steampunk-esque fantasy world, right? And there are magical ley lines, sort of like a magnetic field or like auroras that kind of move around higher in the atmosphere that are then utilized as the source of like for magical purposes. Okay.
Whoa, wait. So the Northern Lights like power people's powers?
Yes.
That's amazing. Oh my God. That's so cool.
Yes. So, and then the use of the ley lines is very regulated, right, by the various like governments and such, and they probably have their little like union groups and stuff. But certain ships, airships, will travel these to gather magic to then be allocated back out to people. So they sort of like farm the ley lines a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, you can sort of imagine where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
Uh, but then the like rich can pay to sort of travel these ships as well to go along with them to sort of see the sights and also to fill up their like magical stores directly. And so then this magic that they gather can be used for magical enhancements, artifact making, as well as alchemy and potion craft.
Oh my gosh. Look at that.
Okay. So that's my magical, like the background for the world, right? So then I split this into roughly the outline sections we talked about, but they sort of had more like summaries of like what would happen in there because I had to put a lot in to connect all of this stuff because there's so much going on.
Yeah.
Okay, so starting with the status quo or sort of like our setup sections, like the first 10 to 15% of the book, we're introduced to the heiress, Alara Whitethorn, who is rich, entitled, and her family has a very like well-known, famous, successful like magical device company. And her job is not really understood by her, but it's mostly fake for publicity only. So she gets sent out to do the like baby kissing and stuff. And while she has seen and heard some contrary things, Alara believes that her family's business is on the up and up and that she's a wonderful person doing wonderful things and is very devoted to her family, right? So she thinks what she does is good. She thinks she makes a difference, but she's actually very entitled, very naive, and doesn't realize that she's essentially being put on the kiddie table because they don't trust her to actually do anything meaningful or help with the real business.
Yeah.
So our opening scene is she is doing something for people like with her magic. One of those little publicity events. And then she's like, waving to her adoring fans. And someone is asking her questions about all this sketchy stuff her family's up to. And she is immediately upset about the implications and the smearing of her family's good name. How dare they? And then later in this section, someone will send her a secret box full of various proof documents, contracts, logs, etc. But she refuses to look at it because she trusts her family. Okay, so then inciting incident, right?
Yeah.
So what happens here is there's all these rumors, right, which Alara is constantly rebuking, but then all of a sudden her family is like seriously coming under fire. And if they sort of lose this inquiry, her whole way of life will be gone, her family will be ruined, etc. And people are starting to listen to the rumors. And when she talks to her family, they blow it off. Don't worry about it. She's like, she says, I'm a member of this family, I can help. And they're like, you're sort of useless and need to stay out of it. It's above your pay grade. So now she has to prove them wrong and save her family. So she goes to the box of information she received earlier, runs across some interesting information. She can't quite figure out if it proves it one way or the other, but it all keeps coming back to one of these like flying airships that collects magic from the ley lines, right? And she's like, something important is happening relating to this, but she doesn't know what it is. So to figure it out and prove her family's innocence, she has to embark upon one of these journeys, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So then break into two, right?
Yeah.
She boards the ship. It's sort of like a flying cruise ship intended to visit various magical ley lines, right? Very expensive. And she meets her captain, Declan Blackwood. But she isn't where she's supposed to be, right? Because she's like looking into various places trying to find information, right? And so she tries to flatter him and be like, oh, well, this ship is so awesome and the magic is so amazing. And I'm just like checking it out. It's fine. And he's like, no passengers here. Get out, go away. Ooh. And she's all huffy, right? That's their meet cute. So then I feel like this is so long. Okay. She finally finds the room her parents stayed in and finds like the secret compartment, and there are these strange magical artifacts installed. But what do they do? So then as she continues looking into this, eventually the captain will find her again and find her with the devices. And he knows what they are more than she does because he actually does stuff with magic. And he knows that they have to do with magic smuggling operations. So he accuses her and he's like, you're trying to smuggle magic, right? And she admits that she is trying to solve a mystery and clear someone that's been accused of this crime. And she's just, looking into it. It's not her. And he's initially suspicious. But then a man who we will call Kellen Stormrider appears sort of, they see him walking through like a hallway or something, right? And she like ducks out of the way, doesn't want to be seen because she knows who he is, she thinks. So she pulls her captain aside and is like, what is he doing here? And the captain is like, oh, he's like this bad guy that always like comes on these ships and he does all these crimes. So they have to keep a close eye on him, but the feds can never pin it on him. And she's like, oh, well, he works with my parents all the time. He like comes to family dinners. And he's like, well, then your family's shady. And she's like, no, that's what I'm here to prove. They're not shady at all. And he's like, well, if that guy realized that you're looking into whatever this is, which is totally tied to him, he gonna murder you, right?
Yeah.
So then he's coming their way. Shoot, what do they do, right? And the captain's like, oh, if either of them are found, it's gonna be bad because like they're both with the device.
Yeah.
And so as he's like coming around the corner, she's like, I have an idea, and she kisses him. And so the Kellen, right, who is our mob boss dude, right, discovers them, is suspicious, like, why are you here? Because he knows who she is. And they sort of like cover up the device a little bit so that like it doesn't look like they saw it. And so she says, oh, well, I'm on the ship to see the captain because we're together. It's obviously a secret from the family because they wouldn't approve. And he's like, well, you're not on the manifest. Like, I looked at the manifest for this flight and you weren't on it. Because she's like undercover, right?
Yeah.
And the captain is like, well, family guests don't have to be registered. We're engaged. So there's our fake engagement.
Hit it.
And then the rest of Act 2 is just them sort of working together, not getting along, trying to identify the devices, figure out who's responsible, right? All of that. So then the midpoint, right? There's two big things that happen here. The first big thing is that Alara discovers that whoever is responsible for the plot is setting something up that is essentially going to pull all of the magic out of the ley lines, which obviously is horrible, will make magic a lot more expensive and harder to access for normal people, which, there's a lot of like support system and stuff in place that would, it would just screw over the little people, right? Yeah. And then at that point, she also suspects that Kellen Stormrider, our mob boss, is responsible and is taking advantage of her family, right? They are not culpable. And then she sees what the captain is working on, which is his like alchemy and potions, and he reveals why he is a captain in the first place, which is to perfect his potions, which takes a lot of magic. And no one would fund those kinds of experiments because it only helps the poor, not the rich. And she's like, wow, he's actually doing something to help people. I wonder, like, have I actually really been helping people? Okay, so then our twist. One of the events on board is a magical resuscitation and healing course. And it's like this very intimate type of magic that can only be that is typically only performed by family members or partners. And so to avoid suspicion from the mob boss who's like onto them, right? They sign up for this course and it requires them to like learn how to form this like strong magical bond with each other and like open up each other's feelings. They have this whole moment and then allows them to like be able to like heal each other and like do this like, resuscitation and healing and everything, right? And they're certified.
Beautiful.
So that's sort of how they like get together emotionally after that, right? They have their little like cute first kiss and all that stuff after that, probably. Okay. All is lost. So the all is lost moment is Alara and Captain Blackwood discover irrefutable proof at this control panel that they found that the scheme is close to being completed and will be active through like a whole network of magical devices that set up in various airships to pull magic out of the airlines from like a bunch of places at once, or the ley lines. And her family is absolutely the mastermind. The only way to stop it is for her to deactivate the system, and she has access due to being a part of the family and having the right like magical signature, right? So like she could control it, and she's the only one who can. But her family would know she did it. And it would also, they'd have to send an alert to all the other ships to sort of like turn on like something so that she could then access all of them and deactivate all of them, which means it would be completely public that this happened and her family was involved and she was the one who basically like, you know, stopped her family, right?
That's scary.
So, yeah. So she's like, no, there has to be something we're missing or something. Like, there's no way my family did this, right? She's in denial. And the captain is like, either you're as corrupt as them and you're going to let something horrible like this happen, or you're going to do the right thing. And she like can't agree to it immediately. Like everything's like, you know, a mess. And so they have a fight and they storm off, right? So then the climax, which for this one I have sort of the aha moment like in the climax sort of.
Yeah.
But for the climax, the mob boss is going to kind of realize they've discovered the plan, and the only solution to get rid of the evidence and protect the other locations is to destroy the ship. So he damages like the magic that's used to help run the airship, and he escapes, and the airship will start to slowly begin to fall out of the sky. And if this succeeds, they're going to get away with it, and the characters will all die, right? Alara and Captain Blackwood will be, right?
Oh my god.
So Alara has this like moment, probably around the same time, where she realizes she was wrong. She has to do the right thing. She wants to be a person that helps people. So she goes, reunites with the captain, disables the devices, alerts everyone to what happened, but the ship is still falling, right? So the captain manages to take control by separating off the main passengers with like these like blimp lifeboat things, right? So all the passengers are safe, but he and Alara are still crashing. And he manages to like land as well as he can, but he ends up getting really injured and is like dying. Like it's this horrible moment. And she's super distraught, but then she remembers her magical resuscitation and healing course. And through that bond, she is able to heal him. And
Amazing.
in our resolution, right, Alara and the captain use her inheritance. They're now safe from her family's ruin and the prosecution, right? They all got taken to jail or whatever. And they buy a small ship. They fly the ley lines. They help people in need. The captain perfects his magical devices that are able to heal those that are sick. And they live happily ever after and make the world a better place. Ta-da!
I love it. I love it. Oh my god, I love that you use the CPR course in the end.
Yes.
And also the world you
my
described for this, when you were like, it's an airship, I was like, oh my god, that's so cool.
I had a lot of fun with this. Like because I was struggling with what to do with the cruise ship director, and I'm like, you know, you could have just like a cruise ship, but like I feel like if we're going fantasy, we need to go fantasy, you know?
Yeah.
Oh my
that's
gosh.
amazing.
Thank you. Oh.
I love the names too.
I
Alara.
literally used what is it? I think it was like the Reedsy fantasy name generator, and I just clicked on it a bunch of times until I had some like random fantasy name.
Amazing.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. It's definitely hard. Like I feel like this pulling the type of like prompt that's like more of like a contemporary story prompt into this kind of forced it to have like, not that it's subverting genre expectations or like I wouldn't go that far, but like it definitely has a very unique feel from doing that, which is it's very interesting, you know?
Right? It's really cool. You kind of are forcing yourself to think about it differently. So maybe it's, you know, it's not exactly subverting, because also we did it in like a couple of hours. But you know, like it is a good creativity prompt to come at something from a different angle, you know?
Yeah, I like that. This whole thing was like very, very fun.
Yeah. It was, just crazy fun. It had to just like make up a crazy story, and I don't know. I
Hmm.
feel like you get really creative with stuff like this when you're just challenging your brain to think in different ways. So loved it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, it makes me think of I think it's is it Jim Butcher? I think one of the book series he wrote was he was like, "Oh, you could like make a book out of any concept." And someone was like, "Oh, well bet can you make a story that's like Pokemon and the Roman Legion?" And he
And
was
then
like, yeah."
yeah, I can.
And now it's
Yeah.
this like super big series and stuff and it's awesome. Like I read it and it's great.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know. Challenge yourself with funny things and
Yeah,
make it work.
challenge yourself. I
Yeah.
was really thinking you would give me, like, The Chosen One, and I was really in here, like, how does The Chosen One prophecy work in contemporary? I was like, "A contract?" Anyways,
Yeah.
I was pleasantly surprised that it was, like, something I didn't even kinda think of, so thank you
Mhm.
for the wonderful prompt. This is such a fun little story.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, I had lots of fun. This was great.
Yes. So, I think what we'll do is we will, put links to both of our channels below.
Mhm.
Let us know what you thought of the stories, if you would have taken them in a different direction.
Yes.
Um, yeah, really, really appreciate everyone coming along for this fun, crazy, crazy like experiment collab thing. Really enjoyed it. And thank
Yes.
you.
Yes, and there will be another video on my channel for another collab that we're doing that we'll link down below too. So if you had fun with this and our mutual shenanigans, go over there where we will be planning a Regency heist story.
Woo. I'm so excited. We're about to go do that one now. So,
Yes, I'm
woo.
pumped.
All right. Like, subscribe, all those things, and see you next
Mhm.
time.
Bye.
Sweet. Oh, we did it.
We did it. Okay.